Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of Club Fitting Chronicles. Gene and I have a little bit of a different episode in store for our viewers today. A lot of it being mental, but it also comes full circle into clubs and having the right equipment, and we'll get into that. But first, Gene, how you doing?
I'm doing good. This is episode 18B because we had some technical issues after getting
Pretty nasty
about a
dust
third of the
storm
way
out.
through.
Yeah, knocked out my Wi-Fi.
Our phones went off. So we're going to try this again. I shared with Josh that I have been working on set number 12 of the original Ping beryllium copper irons. They use the worst epoxy in the world because you have to wait until it explodes before that tells you it's hot enough where you can pull the head. And I had to go through two different torches, propane torches, so that I could get it hot enough. And I got burns all over the place. So that was wonderful. It was a great way to spend an afternoon when it's 114 degrees and warmer in the garage. And got to spend some time online chatting with Doug in Tennessee, and hopefully we're going to figure out something with his irons. That I've offered to send him a couple irons to try, but I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be yet. And I was sharing with Josh, we got an email today from Queensland, Australia. I've been down to Melbourne before for 3 weeks. Played with the Kangaroos on the golf course, but didn't get up to Queensland area. But it'll be fun to have. We've expanded our global outreach, and so that's always fun. And then I shared with Josh, I celebrated my 66th birthday this last week, but I didn't get any cash sent to me. It was kind of disappointing. I was figuring that there would be baskets of cash out front, celebrating my 66th birthday. The only thing that I got was it's one stroke easier to shoot my age.
Well, there you go. That's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So, Gene, before we get into the irons and what we did on Saturday, for some of you who may not know, and a lot of you don't know, I had a qualifier on Friday and Sunday. And it was at Las Colinas, a course that I've played a million times. And for someone like myself, it's kind of just a given to go out there and just shoot a number. Now, golf is unpredictable like that, and that's what makes golf golf. But regardless of not, I got on the tee Friday, and I was super excited. I came off a round of 67 the day prior. And I was, confidence was high, and I was I was anticipating the round of golf. Let's just say that. I played the hole a million times in my head the night before, and I was just ready to go. So ready to the point where I didn't get much sleep the night before. And, I got up to the tee, played a nice, silky, smooth round of 79, which, that is sarcasm there. And of course, 79 for a lot of people is amazing round. And it's always up for interpretation, depending on what the handicap golfer is. And for myself, 79, I'm not saying it was a great round, not saying it was a terrible round. But regardless of not, the situation that I was in,
it wasn't a best.
The number didn't really get me the result that I wanted, which was obviously making the tournament. Now, Friday night, I called Gene, and we talked about a lot of stuff, routine, what I did leading up to the qualifier, all these little things, and ultimately we came down to the conclusion that all of it was mental. I didn't do anything wrong with my swing per se, other than the fact that I was getting in my own head, and that's what was leading me to hit bad shots when I'm focused on hitting OB rather than hitting it in the fairway. I think that's an issue, and that is an issue. So we talked about that and went in and talked about routine and the importance of routine and distracting yourself and really staying in the moment and taking your good with the bad. And ultimately, that night, I cut out a small slip of paper. It was about, I don't know, yay high, probably 4 inches by 2 inches. And I just put it in my scorecard holder. And I wrote routine, commitment, distract yourself, quote unquote, hum a song. As Gene said, I would always hum a song, or I'd look at the bushes, or, I'd talk to people and stuff like that, kind of just taking your mind off of it. Now, I also want to bring up this little tidbit from my coach, Justin. But he said he played in a $40 skins match at Toka Sticks. That's that's a golf course, kind of the equivalent of Las Colinas. And he said he's played that course a million times. And Justin has played on Mini Tour and as well as Corn Ferry Tour. So he's played on some really notable tournament fields and in front of thousands of people. And he was telling me when he went up to that tee box, he's probably taken 5 years off since his last competitive round. But still, he got up onto that tee box and he was shaking in his boots, quote unquote. So, no matter where you're at in the game, no matter how good you are, nerves are always going to be there. And that means you care. And I really cared about it and I really wanted to go get it. And I let it take the best of me. So after I rolled all that stuff down in my scorecard holder and me and Gene got together on Saturday, now we're going to go back into the club portion of it. So as many of you know, or have been listening to our last few episodes, you know that we have been experimenting with different shafts for my irons, in which Gene worked on my 7-iron shaft and I was demoing it for a little while. And we ended up putting all those shafts into the rest of my irons. So Gene kind of turned that, the lesson from Friday into a learning experience Saturday night. We talked about it some more, and we also did all my clubs and put the new shafts in, which made a huge and tremendous difference on Sunday. Sunday morning, Gene, you did the grips, if I'm not mistaken. You did the grips on Sunday morning. You let the epoxy dry.
Yeah, before I went to church.
Yep. And he brought those over to me in the morning.
Moment of inertia weighted them, so that made them progressively heavier through the set, using the same numbers we had before.
Right. So we already had that feeling of comfort as far as weighting goes, and it just felt amazing. The weight and the length on my 6-iron specifically was the proper length,
and your 4-iron,
and my 4-iron. Come to find out,
did you get a chance at the 4?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, his 4-iron was an extra, 5/8 of an inch?
Oh yeah.
I think it was something like that.
Right.
And so we cut it down to what a traditional 4-iron would be. So we had to add a lot of lead tape to that club to get it up to the MOI that we wanted.
Right.
But and the 5-iron. We shortened the 5-iron a little bit. Right.
It was just odd. This whole entire, from the beginning, even when we put the lead tape on there initially for, the MOI weighting, it was just odd. The swing weights on them were really light. And then when we go and change out the shafts, the lengths, they're inconsistent from what it says on the guide and what they're supposed to be. We looked up what the lengths were supposed to be, the specs, base specs for the i500s. Now, whether or not that was what they fitted me for, whatever the case is, I didn't know. I had no recollection of that being the case, and I wouldn't understand why that would be the case.
And some of them were on the spec number.
Yeah.
Not many, but there were some.
But some. But the like I said, the consistency and of it being on par with what it says it wasn't really. I was kind of disappointed, if I'm being honest. And some people argue that doesn't really make any of a difference, but it does.
it makes a difference.
It makes a difference, an incredible difference, especially when you have that amount of difference from my 4-iron to, say, a 6-iron with the wrong shaft in it. Of course, it was a 8-iron shaft, which I'm guilty of. I will admit that. But still, it was disappointing, that part of it. But, once we actually got all those shafts in and I played with them on Sunday, I shot a 67, a 4-under 67. So a complete turnaround, 79 to 67. And putting, I'll be honest, my putting on the day that I shot 79 to 67 was only 4 or 5 putts different. Now, those are also probably 4 or 5 putts that I made that were for a lower score, such as an eagle or a birdie. But my fairways and greens were completely different. What the proximity to the hole was extremely different. I was hitting more greens. Hole 6, so the par 3s out there, we got hole 6, hole 8. We'll just do the front 9 for right now on Sunday. Hole 6, I put it to 10 feet, and I left that putt just a little bit short. Greens were a little bit furry, but I made putts when I needed them, and you understand where I'm coming from. The greens, they're smooth, but they're grainy, and if you just hit,
they're like Velcro.
Yeah, it just kind of stops at the edge and just stays there. So I had a putt like that on hole 6, but hit a great tee shot. I was very satisfied with that. Go to hole 8. I had about 15, probably 12 to 15 feet. Wasn't anything longer than 15 feet. And it was a front pin. I was probably pin high to the left of it. And I hit the edge of that hole and it stopped. And that was another one of those putts where I was like, okay, I put a good roll on it. Speed wasn't necessarily up there, but that's okay. I hit a good tee shot, and that's what I was satisfied with. So right then and there, and went back to, the 5 things I wrote down into my yardage book, stay positive and take the good with the bad and stay in the moment. And, one of the songs I was humming that entire day, and I told Gene this as well, was Express Yourself by Charles Wright. And, I wasn't trying to get super philosophical with why I chose Express Yourself. Oh, well, you need to express yourself over every shot. That's not why I chose that song. It was just a catchy song, and I would just hum it. And it took my mind off of, things like missing a putt, which honestly, that is up to the golfer whether or not to determine if that was a good or a bad putt. Now, a lot of people could have said, that putt sucks. A lot of people also could say that putt was great, and they're really positive about it. So I stuck with the positive route because I was making putts before that, and I told myself more will drop, to stay patient. That was another thing I wrote in my book, was patience. So then go to the par 3s on the backside. So we have hole 11. I hit the front side of the green there, just off on the fringe there. Hit another putt to like a foot, tap in par. And then hole 14, I go and I, hit it on the green, probably 10 feet. And, I hit the edge on a putt there, tapping par. So really I was hitting close to the green, to the hole on the green. And I gave myself a look. And as long as you're giving yourself looks out there, whether the putt goes in or not, it is up to the golfer to take it the right or wrong way. So very satisfied with that. Hole 17, I almost hole out. So that was good. Made a par there. I almost holed out off the green for a birdie and went and had myself hit the pin and had myself a tap in par. And a lot of my approaches to the greens left me with putts. I think if I remember correctly, I missed probably 3 or 4 greens that entire day, which, it was stellar. And I would either just 2-putt it or, I would make putts when I needed them. And hence the reason why I only made 1 bogey, which was hole 4. And that was one of the greens that I missed. And that hole, always plays into wind. That hole is tough, the number one handicap hole, and that hole was a tough one. But other than that, I had 1 bogey, 5 birdies, 4 under 67. And a lot of people could say that, the clubs did make a difference. But no, it made a tremendous difference because mental and having the right equipment goes full circle. I mean, it goes hand in hand. And I played my first round ever. That was my first round ever with those clubs. Yep. And I go and I do that, which right off the bat just boosts your confidence, for one. And two, you're just stepping up to every tee box waiting for, your approach to the green. I was so excited. And Gene, you saw my excitement when he handed me those clubs at Apache Creek. I grabbed the irons, and it wasn't anything I was questioning. I wasn't even questioning the fact that these clubs were going to be bad for me. I didn't have that thought in my mind whatsoever. I saw the clubs. I said, wow, this feels great. This is awesome. I can't wait to go out there and, put all these things I learned to the test. Sure enough, I go to the range, I warm up, I'm hitting it good on the range. I'm like, okay, this is great. I have no doubt in my mind. I'll go out there and I'll have fun. There's another thing I wrote into my yardage book. So, it's just a mixture of things for quote unquote success. And success is another thing that is up for interpretation. Some people's idea of success is shooting a 79, and some people's view on success is shooting a 67. So it's really up to the golfer itself. But for me, that's what I experienced. Right. That's what I learned. And Gene, if you want to comment on any of that, because you had a lot of insight on Friday, and maybe if you want to share some of what you said, if I didn't cover it already, or just piggyback off of what I talked about.
Oh, I think a lot of golfers kind of get in their own head. I've been, ever since I was 12, I think that was the first time I went out and played golf without my dad. And I've always played as a single. I would say I probably played 95% of my rounds as a single, and I get thrown into a group. Never bothers me. But I've played with people that is the hardest thing in the world, to play with other people or somebody they don't know. That gets in their head. So finding that peace and not getting over, stimulated. Because I was like you in college. I would play, 4,562 holes at night, going through, knowing exactly the course. Okay, I'm going to hit it to this sprinkler head. I'm going to hit it to this. And,
right.
And you got your head so wrapped up in it that you can't do it. Right. You have invented the perfect round. I'm going to shoot 47 and for 18 holes because I'm going to hit this green. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to do this. You take what you get that day. You got to have a positive attitude. I laugh when people get mad when they miss a 20-footer. The tour average is probably 5 to 8% maybe from that range. And they practice, 4 hours, 3 hours a day on that. When you rolled 2 on the practice green this week, and you're expecting to make all those?
Right.
And, I've played some of the courses that they play, and their greens and our greens are not the same greens.
No, not remotely.
Theirs is the billiard table.
Yep.
Ours is like, we went out and they threw a little bit of sand and some rocks and a couple of, beach balls out there on the green, and we're trying to negotiate through all that. And then there was the guy who got mad, and he took a swing and he took out a chunk right in front of the cup, right where you have to go. And then of course there's the guy who's setting the pins, who last time you set the pin didn't get the full, the hole flush to the green, so there's a little lip there. Right. And then you got the guy, the 42 guys before you who have not ever fixed a ball mark, and you got to go through 7 of those, and you're sitting there trying to tap those down.
Right.
We're playing on under a different set of circumstances.
100%.
if I hit a good putt, I say, if I hit it where I was aimed, it was a good putt.
Right.
Maybe it went in, maybe it didn't go in, but it was a good putt because I did what I tried to do. And that's as far as I can go. Obviously, if you leave it 10 feet short from 15 feet, okay, that's an issue. But that's different. I gave it a shot. Like you were saying at Las Colinas, the greens have gotten slow over the last week or two.
Right.
Hopefully they're going to cut them soon because they're trying to get them, ready for winter coming up in a couple of years. I don't think it's going to happen soon, but the greens look beautiful, but they're putting slow. And the one thing I can't do is it's hard to take a 3/4 shoulder turn on a 10-foot putt going uphill.
Right. And what I've told myself, my entire life is anytime I play in a tournament, and really I learned this. I'm glad to have learned this when I was probably a junior or senior in high school. My old high school coach would tell me, why you would overhear me and my teammates talking about the conditions of the golf course. Why are you guys? Excuse my language, but he said, "Why are you guys bitching about why are you guys bitching about the conditions of the golf course? Everybody's playing the same course." And that's the truth, and that's why I never use it as an excuse. And I just, like I said, interpretation and how you take it will ultimately, that is going to be the deciding factor on whether or not you have a good round or not. If you're here focusing on things that you can't control, what's in your control and what isn't, that's the biggest thing that you got to differentiate, is what's in your control and what is out of your control. And you know what I have control over? Not the putting greens. I have no control over that. Nope. Whether I hit a good putt, if I hit it on line, that's something that I have control of. I can go and practice those putts. I could go and look back and say, hey, I didn't put much time on the putting green this week. That is on me. I didn't hit the right line. It's not because the greens are bumpy and I hit the wrong bump and this, that, and the other. I can't control that. But I can control hitting my putt on line, down over end. And if I miss it, so what? And if it goes in, great. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's how you take it as an individual and as a golfer, because it's all 100% mental. And even to this day, obviously, I'm still trying to figure that out. I thought I had it figured out, but that's also golf. As soon as you think you figured it out, you lost it. You didn't figure it out. And that's the beauty. You can't perfect golf.
So let's go back to the golf clubs. So what were, as far as the weight, how did you feel that new weight? Because we went heavier, right? Especially in your, everything short of your 9-iron was heavier.
Yep.
Easier to get rhythm?
Oh, much easier. Tempo and feel. There's still head feel, which I love. Right. And a lot of golfers tend to like, a heavier head feel. That's the biggest thing. And for me, I love the head feel I had with the MOI weighted. We did, originally, and this time with the heavier shaft, and the shafts being all the same weight, it's a huge difference. And tempo is a big thing, because one of the things my playing partner said to me on Sunday, and we're on the 10th tee box, and I go and I hit my drive straight down the middle, and my teammate said, "Man, you're swinging it so rhythmic today. You're just so super fluid and just loose." And he was right. I mean, I was swinging it really well, and the clubs felt great. The shafts were heavier, and 110 grams, and I love it. I love it. And the tip stiffness is great, and the lengths are all correct and proper, and we fit that and tune that to the specs that I like personally, and we just kept it simple. And that's the thing. We didn't do anything incredibly intricate. We just kept it simple, and we did this here. Okay, we cut it down to this length, and we put that weight there. We made it this swing weight because that's what I liked. And I stuck with what I preferred, what I was comfortable with, and we did that through the entire set. And it made a huge difference. And instead of it being, affecting my game in a bad way mentally, I never questioned it. As soon as I got the irons done, I said, hey, I have no doubt in my mind, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hit these well and I'm going to have fun. I didn't think about hitting a bad shot once at all.
What I wish I would have done while I still had your shafts is, and I had a way of telling how they had been put in, check the planar oscillation plane, how repeatable was the shaft in the position that it was in, because that's one of the things that I had gone through before you got there, because like Josh arrived at my house at about almost 6 o'clock, and we had an hour and a half to get things done, and we got everything put together, and then I just got up early in the morning to grip them and let them rip.
Yeah, it was such a quick turnaround. It's such a quick turnaround, and that was the thing. I think a little bit of why I had no doubt in my mind that I was going to hit them bad is because I didn't have enough time to process it. I just, it was such a quick turnaround, and I was I was amazed because I was there for the whole process, and it was an incredible learning experience. I've never worked on reshafting any club for that matter, and any club repair or anything like that. So that was the first time for me, and just learning the process of really what is a lost art, in my opinion. It is a lost art. And, a lot of people such as myself don't really have that experience or knowledge, and it's just a lost art, and it was just cool to see. And I'm able to, possibly teach somebody in the future that, and that's the amazing thing is I learned it, and, in the future I'll know how to do it, and let's say, I'm somewhere where I don't have somebody like Gene, or I don't have somebody on hand available to do these things for me. I could be that guy for myself and do that for myself. So that was the amazing thing about it. But we did everything right then and there, and I learned, I've learned so much from the podcast itself, but the actual physical, how should I say it? Just being there and visualizing it for myself, getting my hands dirty. Exactly. Even though I didn't really touch any epoxy, but I touched the heat gun, and it felt like I was in wood shop again. I was just cutting down these shafts and measuring them, and it was just the tip weight too. Seeing how that is. I never knew that was how you did it, but it was a cool experience. A really cool experience.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was only, like I said, it was probably only, it wasn't quite as hot as it was probably for you on Sunday playing. Right. I think Sunday, wasn't it only 114 out there, 115?
It was only 114 with about a 63% humidity. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a peaceful, cool day.
It was just light work. That's what it was.
So we'll have to reconvene and come up with what we're going to do for episode 19, but I want to thank those of you who are contributing and helping us. Getting 2 out this month will only cost about $250. So if you can help us out, that would be wonderful. If you have questions, again, I was answering Doug, and we went back and forth a couple times yesterday. I haven't had a chance to email him today because I was stuck up at school most of the day. And I'll get a hold of Simon and let Simon know. But, don't hesitate to ask questions. Don't hesitate to, there is no stupid questions other than how come the tile on the top of the gym is red when you're going through the middle of why, explaining the Constitution and the first 10 amendments, and that was the first question asked. But other than that, there's no bad questions. And love to hear from you. Would greatly appreciate you sharing with friends. I know that's been going on because last month we were heard in like 340 different cities, and now we've been heard in over 400.
Very cool.
So I know that people are sharing about us, and we greatly appreciate it. And the more you share, the greater our outreach is, and hopefully we can fix some of the stuff that's out there in the world of golf, because there's nothing more frustrating than to hear some of the stories that I hear about golf clubs and what people have been told and what they think they know, and how, what about this and how this, it's nothing. Don't worry about that. That's not going to affect anything. Well, really? Yeah. I had somebody was asking the other day about the center of gravity of a driver head, and I was like, do you put the ball up on a tee? Well, yeah. Well, then the center of gravity of the driver doesn't really matter, because
you're putting
the driver is, you're putting it up on a tee and you're hitting up on it.
Yeah.
So whether the center of gravity is at 37 millimeters or 35 millimeters, you're going to adjust the tee height according to the height of the face. The height of the face is going to determine how high the center of gravity is. The taller the face, generally speaking, especially in an iron, the taller the face, the higher the center of gravity is.
Right.
Because there's mass up there.
Right.
It's kind of it's one of them rules of physics. You can't break the laws of physics. You get pulled over for that. You get a big ticket. So with that, Josh, have a great Labor Day weekend. You going to get to play any golf?
You know what? This Friday and Sunday, I'm going to go play some golf. I work on Monday, so I got to help out at Apache Creek. We're expecting a pretty good turnout for Labor Day, so I'll be there working for a few hours and having a great afternoon, spending in the pro shop, and just wanting to go golf. But I'll golf in the morning. More than likely, I'll go golf in the morning. But yeah, those are my plans. I hope everything goes well with you, and I want to thank all of our viewers once again for all the support you guys are giving us, and it's just incredible to see how much it's grown. We've almost been doing this for a year now, Gene.
We're over 3,000 listeners. Yeah, we're
coming up
a year
on the 1 year
and a couple weeks from now.
Yeah. So we're coming up pretty close on a year, and it's been a wonderful journey, and I can't wait for the next chapter.
Well, you have a good one. Stay out of the dust storm.
Of course.
And I'm going to try to do the same, but I got to water some plants because they're hurting in the heat.
There you go. You have a good night, Gene. Take care.
You too. God bless.